بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن والصعب إن شئت سهلا. أيها الإخوة الكرام أحييكم بتحية الإسلام. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. في البداية أشكر الإخوة القائمين بهذه الندوة المباركة ويعني المشايخ الأفاضل. وحقيقة أنا أعددت الورقة باللغة الإنجليزية، ولهذا لأن أراعي الإخوة الذين لا يتكلمون باللغة العربية سألخص وأقدم باللغة الإنجليزية ما دام أن هناك ترجمة، لأن هناك بعض النقاط أعتقد يعني يسهل علي أن أعبر وأقدم باللغة الإنجليزية. Okay, for the beginning, if you look into my paper, I have given some introductory note when it comes to the development, particularly in fintech. Nowadays, of course, we are talking about financial technology, and I think this is a robust kind of terms that everybody is talking about it. And I think when it comes to even the regulators, I mean the bank and whatnot, you can see that everybody is talking about fintech, and there are different products which is considered as the outcome of this technology. Now, one of the biggest challenge of Islamic finance in the next decade is financial innovation. I think one of the issues that we have in Islamic finance that always we talk about it is that Islamic finance to a certain extent try to imitate what is there in the conventional space, you see, and I think it is time with the technological development for us to ensure that we try to come up with new products. You see, as all of us are aware that, I mean, there is the maxim in Islamic finance which says that al-asl fil mu'amalat al-ibaha, even though there are some debate and discussion, meaning that originally when it comes to matters related to mu'amalah, I mean, it is permissible. So based on this premise, I always believe that there are rooms, I mean, there are ways, there are means for us to innovate when it comes to Islamic finance. Now, I'm going to maybe share with you, I mean, some of the innovation, you see, that has happened. If you look into the past 10 years, innovation in Islamic finance product are quite tremendous, and we can see that some of the banks, in order to avoid loss up to 50% of their retail banking profits in a couple of years, many banks and financial institutions have approved spending on digital initiatives such as channels, customers' journey, automation, and new technology. I mean, there is a report by EY, Ernst & Young, in 2015, which observed that a range of 15 million to 50 million US dollars will be utilized for the next 3 years. I mean, this is in 2015, 16, 17, it goes to 18. Meanwhile, larger banks are allocating more spending for digital initiative. So, I mean, we can see that, you see, the direction is towards empowering technology, and I think whether we like it or not, we need to embrace it. Some people was talking, now we talk about Bitcoin, they say cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology and whatnot. You see, if we can look into the movement, I mean, it is very fast. You see, if you don't move together with the pace that the technology is moving, then you will be left behind. So it is, for me, I mean, it is not really a choice, you see, whether you take it or, I mean, you will be left behind. Now, there is another report by McKinsey Global Institute, which says that digital globalization has contributed to the growth of data flows up to 45 times that transmits information, ideas, and innovation. and consequently, cross-border communication and transactions could be done at lower cost while connecting customers and suppliers in any country. I mean, there is a study which was conducted, you see, which says that if you look into the usage of the social media, take for example, I mean, this is 2015 data, okay, that there is about 1.6 billion people using Facebook at that particular time, okay, compared to the population, you see, of certain countries, take for example China and whatnot, you see, it is larger than the population of certain countries in the world. And we can see that, you see, it is moving towards that direction. I mean, you have YouTube, there is WhatsApp. I think almost all of us are using this technology and so on and so forth. So we can also see that the digitalization has driven almost 12% of the global goods trade through international e-commerce. It's very common nowadays, people buy things through, we have Alibaba, Amazon, eBay, Flipkart, Rakuten, and others. You see, so all these platforms, we can see that it is growing. I mean, there are some local platforms. I mean, there are some international platforms, and I think, you see, moving forward, I mean, this is the trend, whether we like it or not. When it comes to Muslim consumers, Muslim consumer value is estimated at 107 billion out of the whole global digital economy, which is estimated at 1.9 trillion in 2014. And by 2020, the global digital economy is projected to grow at 4.3 trillion, in which the Muslim represents about 277 billion. I mean, so again, I mean, we can see that the tremendous, you see, growth that is happening. Now, coming to Islamic finance. Okay, I mean, we always say that 2016, the asset of Islamic finance globally is more than 2 trillion, but then still, I mean, it is, you know, very small compared to the global financial asset. You see, it's still very small, but then I think the good thing is that Islamic finance is considered as one of the fastest growing industry in the world. I mean, despite the slow that we can see, but alhamdulillah, I mean, we can see that a lot of opportunity, a lot of growth that we are seeing in Islamic finance. Now, among the major growth opportunity, I mean, this again, I've taken from Thomson Reuters report 2016, you see, which says that it is expected that 23%, you see, of the growth will come from sukuk for infrastructure financing. You see, I mean, there will be increase in SME growth initiative by 16%, Islamic finance supporting social development 15%, Sharia compliant pensions 12%, disruptive finance, fintech, crowdfunding, and others will be about 12%. And the major challenges in Islamic finance when it comes to, I mean, digital world is that one is the low level of public awareness. You see, this is, I think, again, coming back, I mean, in the first session just now, we have seen that the emphasis on education. You see, how can we educate people for them to be more empowered when it comes to digital world? I mean, it might vary from one country to another country. If you look into the penetration of internet, for example, it might be greater in some country and less in other country. So this is one of the challenge. Central bank governance changes. I mean, about 15% of the challenges. Underdeveloped safety nets. You see, as we know that when it comes to financial transactions, I mean, this is very important area. Monetary policy formulation and also implementation is also among the challenge. Now, if you look into, in my paper, I mean, there are all the details there. You see, into the different type of product that is undertaking. I think one of the most popular platform nowadays is the crowdfunding platform. In Malaysia, I mean, the Securities Commission of Malaysia, I mean, they have issued license, you see, to some entities for them to undertake crowdfunding activities. You see, for example, there is a company by the name of Crowdfunding. They have the platform and they are licensed. They are given the license to run. There is the Narwi Waqaf, you see, through narwi.com. And others, Islamic Fintech Alliance, you see, which facilitate business matching between investors and also entrepreneurs. Mobile banking and payment systems, we can see that, there is tremendous growth. In Malaysia, for example, there are some banks that have closed down quite a number of their branches. Why? Because people no longer have to go to the bank to do their banking transactions. You see, so we have seen that, this is the trend nowadays, and I won't be surprised, probably 5 years to come, maybe in one town there will be only one branch of bank because people will be used with the technology. All the transactions are being done online, you see, and even if you go to the branches, you can see that, you see, you have the CDM machines, you have the ATM machines, different kind of facilities, automated facilities, which are being used by the people. So again, you don't really have to have a counter, you see, to man, because most of the transactions are being done through technology. In Waqaf, in ISRA, the organization that I'm in, you see, again, this is another opportunity. There are a lot of, platform, you see, that can be used. Waqaf is one of the important tools in Islamic finance. Again, we can also develop Waqaf using the technology, knowledge dissemination. In ISRA, we have iFikir, for example. This is a great platform where there are a lot of resources in Islamic finance. All using the different technology. Now, there are some challenges, you see, when it comes to implementation. One is, of course, the implementation of the digital strategies. If we look into the effort that is being undertaken nowadays, I would say that sometimes it is rather ad hoc, kind of reaction that is given, particularly by the regulatory authority. I believe that the regulatory authority need to be more kind of aggressive when it comes to addressing, the technological advance. Take, for example, Bitcoin, for example, the cryptocurrencies. See, we can see that some regulators have already issued some guidance when it comes to dealing with cryptocurrencies, but there are many regulators that have not, that are silent. You see, even some are very proactive. So addressing, this issue, the technological issue, particularly from the regulatory point of view, is very, very important. Addressing customer need in an increasing digital world means disrupting and rewiring existing business model for a fresh customer experience. You see, the customers, they are willing, according to one survey, customers, they are willing to switch from one bank to another bank if another bank is providing a better service. That is, that is the rule nowadays, whether you like it or not. You see, particularly, I think when it comes to Islamic banking or Islamic financial institution, it is important for us to ensure that the service that is given is at par with the conventional bank. Otherwise, we will be left behind. I think this is, sorry to say, this is one of the complaints that sometimes I receive. You see, when we deal with some conventional bank, it's tip-top in terms of service, but when it comes to Islamic bank, there are a lot of, things that need to be improved. Lack of convenience and also simplicity, that will also, you see, make the customer to run away. Islamic bank must completely re-event their customer process to offer technology-enabled, simple end-to-end experiences. You see, key solution in demand are payments, account opening, mortgages.
دقيقتين.
طيب. Mortgages with the potential for banks to increase value per customer significantly. So again, there are, I mean, my last point, you see, there is this survey by EY, okay, on the major hurdles faced by financial institutions in the GCC, particularly in their digital transformation. You see, among the hurdle is that one is the regulatory environment, you see, which is 32% for the larger bank, for the smaller bank, 53% limited technology support legacy systems. You see, some of the financial institutions, they are using, I mean, the system, which I would say sometimes is very obsolete. It is not relevant to the market anymore, you see, but they are still using it. They do not want to invest in technology. I mean, that is, and that will become the hurdle. Limited process automation, organizational silos and culture. I mean, people does not want to change. You see, they are comfortable with certain things. They want to stay with the thing, you see. And also, finally, I mean, limited digital skills. I mean, this is also among the hurdles that the banks in the GCC is happening. But I'm very optimistic, you see, I mean, with the development. When it comes to Sharia, of course, you see, we have the Sharia scholars. Again, I mean, this is also another challenge in which the Sharia scholar have to keep in pace with the technology advance. I mean, Sheikh Abdul Sattar, in his speech, I mean, he did mention that still, I mean, there are scholars who have given their fatwa on certain issues, certain technological issues when it comes to cryptocurrency and whatnot. There are some who agree, who disagree. There are some who are still silent, who does not provide their view. So I think it is time, you see, for the Sharia fraternity to move forward to ensure that they also keep in pace with the technological development. Then only, I think, we will find the smooth kind of development in the industry. So I think I'll stop there for the time being.
Shukran, Doctor.
And Jazakumullah khairan wa barakallahu feekum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.